So, have you ever been in ChatGPT and maybe you clicked on a link in the left-hand side and saw a screen like this and thought, what in the world did I accidentally click into? Did I get in some kind of weird ChatGPT app store? Are these games? What's going on here? We are going to talk all about GPTs. We're going to talk about another really cool feature in ChatGPT called folders or containers that will allow you to really accelerate and expand out your ChatGPT experience. My name is Rob Keefe. I'm the president and founder of Relitix, and I'm here today to talk to you about the different interesting ways you can use these advanced features in ChatGPT for accelerating what you do in your brokerage or what you do in your real estate practice. So with that, let me dive right in. Hang on, it's going to be sort of a lightning round 20 minutes, and I will make these slides available at the end. So, first thing we're talking about, actually I mislabeled them as folders. We're talking about something called ChatGPT Projects. This is probably one of the most useful advanced features in ChatGPT. I use them all the time. We use them all the time internally. And they provide a really interesting way to essentially create your own custom expert ChatGPT. Let me just flip the share and sort of show you how to find them in your ChatGPT interface here. So I started off by just going into the GPT side, but you can see here there's a little tab called Projects, and these all look like folders. I've got a number of them set up here, and this is how you create a new one. So what are these folders all about? Well, they provide three critical functions. They allow you to manage files and chats, so you can store chats that are related to the same topic in one of these projects, but more importantly, you can upload files into the projects themselves, and I'll talk about the importance of that. Along with that comes the ability to add custom instructions, so any chat that happens inside that folder, that's created in that folder, receives a set of custom instructions that tell it how to respond. It's sort of, if you are maybe a little more geeked out on LLMs, you might know these as system prompts, but they guide the way that the LLM operates. And finally, this whole cross-chat context. This allows one chat to if you open up a chat in one of these projects, it's aware of all the other chats and it can reference the other chats. It allows you to sort of build a knowledge base over time. So I'm going to put this into a little more clear context for you with a real estate example. So we're going to talk a little bit about legal stuff here in this call, so I will give you the mandatory disclaimer. I'm not an attorney. If you're going to deal with any contract reviews, you should probably talk to an attorney. But just like our clients sort of pre-research properties before they talk to us, I think it's probably worthwhile for us to do a little pre-research before we engage attorneys and things as well. So what I've done here is I've created a project in my ChatGPT instance called Wisconsin Contract Review. And you can see that there are three sections to this, four really if you count the chat that's coming up. There's a place for me to drop files, there's a place for me to leave instructions, and then all of the chats that I've done inside this project appear below it. So let's go in and look at this in real life, and I will show you how it works. So I'm clicking on my Wisconsin Contract Review folder, and I'll just get this out of the way. Now, what is going on with these files? So you know that ChatGPT is trained on an enormous amount of information and probably quite a bit of legal information, but in the case of what we're trying to do here, which is build a little sort of specialist for looking at specific types of real estate contracts, I need it to really know the statute well, and I need it not to be outdated. So what I've done is I've gone into the Wisconsin legislative website, and I've uploaded the PDFs of a few of the statutes that relate to real estate practice, along with a couple of our standard forms. Here in Wisconsin, we use standard forms for real estate buying and selling. And here is a property condition report. So what I've done by uploading these is I've told ChatGPT, inside the context of this little project, you must know these project files well, and more importantly, you must refer to them in your answer. So under instructions, This is where we have an opportunity to tell it, sort of give it a persona and tell it how we want it to answer. So you can see what I put down here. Respond as a real estate law and practice expert who's skilled in coaching, mentoring real estate agents. Ensure your answer is grounded in current real estate law. So with that in place, we've built like a little mini real estate law expert, at least as for the 6 files we put in there. There's more that I could have put in there, but I think this will illustrate the point. So let's look at a chat that I did in this. My question was pretty simple. Seller noticed water leaking in the basement. What kind of disclosures required? And you can see that unlike what you would probably get if you just put this in normal ChatGPT outside of a project, it is giving me a really good answer, but it's also referring to the real estate condition report section. We're talking about, it's referring to statute, and it gives me a pretty clear answer on exactly what's going on. And I can ask it follow-up questions that will continue to sort of build on what's in there. So I could say, what if the water leak happened under a previous owner? So it's going to do its best. It's like a great sort of first line of consultation for what would normally be something that a broker would probably discuss with one of their agents. Okay, so that's an example of a little mini expert machine that we built using projects. Let me go back to the presentation and let's talk about a few other use cases. So this first use case here that I've listed, brokerage strategy and strategic planning, is something we use here at Relitix all the time. It's extremely helpful. So think of it this way. You're getting ready to go on a quarterly offsite. You create a folder for that quarterly offsite and you upload things like your budget, the minutes from the last quarter meeting, any sort of market reports that you're interested in pulling into it, any sort of problem statements that with background on it. So you've got a nice little sort of library, basically what you'd send out in a board packet, and then you could ask the LLM strategy questions about it. And it's very good at doing things like brainstorming, come up with 5 solutions to this problem, come up with 6 creative ways to grow our market share in this particular market, and so on. And it will refer to all the material and be very structured in that way. It's also great at developing agendas. So if you give it all this background information, you tell it roughly how much time you have and what you want it to cover, it will do a great first pass at an agenda. Next use here, market information and reporting. So think about creating a folder, uploading raw market reports to it, maybe from our platform, maybe from the MLS, news articles, other market reports, and then ask it to create materials that would be suitable for sending to the general public. I've actually done this just to show you sort of how it looks. So let's go back to my ChatGPT, and I've got it here under real estate market sample. So what did I put in here? I put the Wisconsin Realtors Association statistics that we develop for them every month in here. These are just raw numbers and charts, and I dropped Lawrence Yun's press release from March in there. So it's got a basic amount of real estate information, and now what have I asked it to do? Write a Facebook post describing the real estate market in southeastern Wisconsin so far this year, et cetera, et cetera. And if I were really lazy, I could probably just send this out. Of course, this is the same sort of warning you'd apply to any LLM type stuff. But yeah, you might want to edit it first. But you've got a great first draft complete with all the sort of emojis that you would have in a Facebook post and hashtags and everything else. Now, I've asked it to give me a version suitable for a short newspaper article quoting Lawrence Yun, and it goes through and does a pretty nice job on that too. You can see here's the quote. So it's a great way of transforming raw, sort of unpublishable or too dense information into something that's very accessible. All you got to do is you have to put it in the file, and you have to give it the specific instructions. And what instruction did I give it? Pretty simple. You're a real estate expert skilled in communicating real estate market information to consumers. Okay, one other example, and then we'll move on to GPTs. And this is another one that is, I think, really in the sweet spot of the ChatGPT system, developing or utilizing training materials. So all of us have situations where we have to either train staff on a new piece of software, maybe there is new legal updates coming from the state regarding the practice of real estate. Maybe we're trying to get people's head in the game on the CCP debate that's happening in our industry or something like that. And we got to put together a class. So what do you need? You need class materials, you need a flyer, you need Q&A, maybe even an exam to give people at the end if you're really ambitious. So an easy way to do this, create a folder, upload the raw training materials into it, give it instructions telling them that you're an expert real estate trainer, and ask it to develop a lesson plan. And tell them how much time you have and ask it to give you a schedule for training. Or maybe break this material up into 3 training sessions and tell me what I should teach in each. It's very, very good at this. It's remarkably good. So it will save you an enormous amount of time and pain and suffering in putting that together. Okay, let's move on to the second item that I wanted to cover today. These are these so-called GPTs. This is where we started the conversation today. And what is a GPT inside ChatGPT? I wish they named it something different because it gets very confusing. But they have these think of them as little mini customized versions of ChatGPT, or even mini projects, if you will, that someone else has already created. They are ChatGPT that's been fine-tuned for a very specific task, and behind the scenes, whoever built this task gave it a whole set of instructions, underlying data, and basically got it perfectly set up for you. It's sort of the easy button for a lot of commonly done tasks. So I'm going to show you 3, but I would encourage you to sort of explore the ecosystem a little bit and find something that works for you. So how do you find them? Well, we were back in the ChatGPT, and you'll see a Explore GPTs button up here in the upper left, and it brings you to basically their app store. And by the way, nobody's asked this yet, but they are free. So let's go back to my ChatGPT screen, and here it is. So these are there's literally thousands of them. So I'd recommend going and searching. So I'm going to show you 3. These are 3 sort of popular ones, or ones I think would be very applicable for those on the call. But there are, as I said, thousands, and you may find ones that are perfect for the particular problem you're having. So the first one we're going to talk about is called Universal Primer. And this is a GPT. You can see it's been used quite a bit. It's actually the #1 GPT in education right now. And what it excels at is taking a very complicated or something very complicated and sort of breaking it down in layman's terms and becoming your personal tutor in it. So let's see in action here. So to find it, I would just go to Universal Primer. And it comes up, and the screen looks a little bit like this once it finally loads on my machine. Don't worry, I've got this chat saved too if it bombs out on me. But it will load up and then present you with an opening screen. And the opening screen is basically, what do you want to know? That's all. And here's what I typed in: teach me about how mortgage rates relate to the Fed funds rate. Now, it's a pretty complicated topic, and it broke it down into sections. It gave me analogies in each section to sort of help me along. It's tried to make this sort of bite size. Here's a summary. And then at the end of this section, it gave me a comprehension check. So basically, it's a quiz. Now, if I had a little more time, I'd go through and answer these questions one by one. And it would either tell me I did a great job, good job, and move on to the next section, or if I answered it incorrectly, it would back up and say, no, you're misunderstanding it. Let me break it down for you one more time. So it's like an infinitely patient tutor that's good at sort of spoon feeding relatively easy, in an easy format, complicated things. So give it a try. The next one here is that I'd like to demonstrate to everybody is maybe one of the most down the middle things for real estate practice. It's going through the drudge work of creating a property listing. Now, before you say or think to yourself, we've already sort of got a system for this, let me just show you how the ChatGPT thing, or this particular GPT works. It's called Real Estate Listings and Property Descriptions. So let's see if this one will load for me. Real estate listings, and here it is. And you can see it has some background information on it. It even serves up another chat that this guy came up with. But I'm going to go start chat. And it starts with just the most basic information. What is the property address? So, I'm not going to go through this on the call. We would be on for a lot longer than 20 minutes, but I did go through it earlier. So it essentially Q&As me through the property, bed and bath, like square footage.
Right.
Tell me about the style of the home. How's the lot?
Might really change things up.
What's the nicest thing about this house?
Into the brand new policies.
Anything else I want to focus on? This is kind of cool.
Yes.
It's asking me what my MLS character limit is, and if I don't know it, what MLS I'm in.
Here,
of course, I don't know this, so just put in that I'm in Metro here in southeastern Wisconsin. Boom, 1,000 character limit, and it will operate underneath that. It's suggesting keywords, and here's something that we all should be doing but probably aren't doing regularly. It's asking for a buyer avatar so it can sort of tune the listing description appropriately. Asking for pictures, and I kind of punted on that one. And here's what it kicked out. An MLS listing description, the playful casual version. Is this the Gen Z version of the listing description? If I want to attract a certain kind of eyeball to this, a long form brochure copy, an SEO website SEO optimized website copy, and it's showing you the SEO terms that it's hitting on, along with Facebook, LinkedIn, Insta with all the hashtags, and with one like cute emoji after another, and then a Google My Business post. So it's done a tremendous amount of work with about 3 minutes of investment. Now I can take these, edit it in my own voice, correct things, add things to it, and not only am I all set with putting a listing in the MLS, I've also got a head start on advertising the property. Okay, one more example. A lot of us are involved in property management. So there is a GPT in here called the Property Management Assistant. Now, think of this not so much as an attorney. Think of this as somebody that's going to put their hand on your shoulder that's been doing this for a while and just help you through difficult situations, and help me talk me through this whole thing. So you see, I put it in, start chat, and it's just going to ask me a very basic, or it's going to give me some suggestions on what I might ask, and you can see by the suggested suggestions that these are not like, what is line 4 of the standard lease agreement mean? These are more like, talk me through this. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what it looks like if I asked it a question. So I gave it a sort of a softball question. Said a tenant bought a new dog, but the dog's not in the lease. How do I handle it? So it's giving me some pretty basic advice. Review the lease, write it down. It's giving me a talk track, so I know what to say to the tenant when I go off and give them a call, and giving me some solutions. So it's like it's sort of like your friend that's been doing property management. But now, what if I actually need some more sort of legal backup? Like, this might be going sideways. How do I handle this and not get in trouble with landlord-tenant law? Well, since you've been watching this particular webinar, you know the answer to this is probably that we need to build a project. And I did for you. I built a Wisconsin landlord tenant law project, and I put into it the statute here in Wisconsin and the landlord tenant guide that's published by the state that has all the rules about how you're supposed to deal with tenants and so on. And I asked it to answer as an expert in landlord tenant law, who is also skilled at coaching real estate agents. So I asked it the exact same question, and you're going to see how different an answer it provides. So where the other one said, hey, let me give you some ideas on what to say to the guy, this one is saying, statute 704, paragraph 17, it's telling you exactly what you have to do to be in compliance with law if you've got an issue that means that you're going to have to kick the tenant out, or how to give them notice. Now, it refers to, I read this so you didn't have to, it refers to material breach. If it's a material breach, so I can ask a follow-up question. Well, how do I know if it's a material breach? And it gives me another sort of write-up that's grounded in the statute. Again, probably want to run this past your attorney, but whereas that GPT is more like your buddy that's been doing property management for a while, this is more like your brother-in-law who's an attorney who's kind of helping you on the side, but it's not really, you haven't really hired them. So, and here's, the quote-unquote legal guidance for this. It's also helpfully asking if I'd like to have it help me draft a notice. So that's it, guys. Let's do a quick recap. We talked about two different things today. We talked about a project, which is that folder thing where you can put files. You tell it how to answer. It's aware of the other chats within the folder, and it can be used to create a highly specialized version of ChatGPT for specific applications. And by the way, it's reusable. Obviously, once you have it, and you believe you can share it out if you've got a team plan on ChatGPT so other people can use it. Finally, you have these GPTs, which are, think of like mini versions of ChatGPT or prepackaged ChatGPT fired apps that help people accomplish certain tasks. There's literally thousands of them. They're crowdsourced, so there's a little bit of buyer beware here. Some are better than others, but they're designed to be very user-friendly. In certain areas, I think that listing generation app is probably as good as I've seen for a direct GPT for real estate, but there are lots of sort of writing assistants in there, marketing assistants, and other things like that. So I would encourage you to explore those. So if you'd like a PDF of today's slides, just send me a blank email at ai@relitix.com, and the autoresponder will send back a link so you can download them. And that concludes most of what I wanted to talk about. I will hold this open here for a second to see if there's any quick questions that anybody'd like to ask. I did see one coming in about the whether there's this functionality is in any other LLM, and the answer is yes. If you watch my previous webinar on this, you know I'm kind of a fan of Perplexity.ai. In fact, I recommend you check it out. And Perplexity AI has a version of this called Spaces. That's their version of projects. The one thing I like about Perplexity's version that is not in ChatGPT is in the ChatGPT version, you can upload files. In Spaces, you can upload files. Also, you can upload links. Question about what types of files can be uploaded. ChatGPT will handle any of the normal type of files like PDFs, no problem, Word files, no problem. Spreadsheets within a certain size limit, you can't like download a monster into it. It would be too much for it. But it's also really good at reading pictures and graphs. So if you want to incorporate anything that's like a graphical summary, think of like existing home sales over the last 10 years if you really want to be depressed in real estate. What you can do, instead of just dumping in an Excel sheet with those numbers, feed it a graph. because in my experience, the LLMs work way better looking at graphical format for that than they do looking at just the raw numbers. So. Great. Well, thanks everybody. Have a wonderful day. It was great being with you, and I hope you found something useful.